Shut up and sit down.
Hello and welcome to this week's Tiki Sessions. As always, Stuart Cullen from Rawee Board Company, and behind the bar, Ash. This is a great one tonight.
I'm pretty excited, man. We've got a couple of Tiki Bar regulars here tonight, and I'm so delighted to have them here. I'll not normally make my pina coladas for them.
Dangerous.
So yeah, I'm delighted to have the guys from Lacada Brewery here tonight. It would be remiss of me not to try and make his pina coladas, but I'm so delighted to be stocking West Bay Citra Pale Ale in the Tiki Bar. Tonight we've got East the Beast, and we've got a selection of your beers on the back bar here, guys. So yeah, welcome along. We've got Errol, we've got Laurie, and we've got Hammy. So this is the first sort of three-way chat we've done, guys. So delighted to have you along, and I hope you enjoy number one, the beer, and number two, the chat. There you are, man.
Guys,
thank you.
Yeah. Thanks very much for coming along. Like Ash said, this is our first three-way in the Tiki Bar. So it is.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers to
Cheers
that.
to the love time.
Yeah, couldn't have picked a more handsome bunch of men for it, you know.
Well, you know.
So I'm quite excited about this one because you guys are legit heroes. You have started your own beer company and your own brewery, which I think is absolutely fantastic. How the hell do you start a brewery? Where does it come from? Where did the idea come from? How do you even start the process of thinking how to start a brewery?
Everyone turns to Laurie. The
his
brewer,
fault.
like, it's his fault.
There's always someone's got to have the idea, you know. But I think the beauty of the co-op is getting the people together, and then that pulls it all through. Yeah, you've got to have some dedication at the beginning and actually all the way through. But I went around to quite a few breweries in the north, in the Republic, and across the water. And I thought, whoa, there's quite a lot to it. There's quite a lot, and the margins are quite tight.
They all laughed there. Yeah, there's a subtle laugh there of, yeah, you're bloody right.
Not millionaires yet, boys, no.
Tight being like the operative word. And I also, thought if I ever did do something big, it would be as a cooperative, and I didn't really know what that meant. But fortunately, at about the same time, the main cooperative group in the UK were looking at different regions of the UK that didn't have many co-ops, and Northern Ireland was one of them. So just about the time I thought, what is a co-op? They were over here launching.
It's not just a supermarket.
The hub, yeah. Not the hub, no. It's trying to set people up with co-ops. So I met 2 or 3 really great people there, Tiziana, Joe, Dave. And I said, look, I don't know, will we get enough people? And he said, Dave said, you'd be surprised how many people would love to own their own brewery. And I am still surprised, because we've got nearly 400 co-owners, and the leap of faith everyone took, particularly at the beginning and ever since, they just think, I'd love that, that's a great idea. So along the way, you just hear some real gems from co-owners, and I think one of the best ones recently was someone said, you know, it's given a soul to the town. And I thought, okay, that's a bit deep, and then I thought, well, that's something, isn't it, you know?
Too right, man. And I actually remember whenever the news first went, and I didn't make it long because it was a town hall, I think it was the initial meeting, and I was working with Greg Wallace at the time, and Greg was chatting about it, and it was just brilliant. It was kind of like a real exciting time, but obviously, I don't know when, how long ago was that then?
We ran 2 or 3 public meetings. Now, it was slow going at the beginning, and particularly when Greg came in, and another great co-owner, Heather, who helped us. And we opened the share offer, and we had the website, and then it really caught people's imagination. And I do remember the first public meeting after that, it was just after Christmas, and there were people, the room was full in the town hall for a start, and they were coming forward with ideas. So, have you got planning permission yet? No. Well, I advise you to get onto that. Oh, I worked in planning. I'll help you. And someone else said, I'm a chemical engineer, I don't drink beer, but I'll help you on the board. And that's when people thought, you know, this can be done, and we'll help do it, and that's really when it really pushed off.
Like we've talked about collaboration a lot in Tiki Sessions, and this is the perfect example of actually not people looking for obstacles, but looking for ways to overcome them and getting together. And when did you guys get involved then? Or?
Well, I mean, I came along to that session in the town hall. I didn't know Laurie at the time. Yeah. We spoke, didn't know you at the time either. That's right. And I like drinking. Yeah, definitely like my beer. I just discovered craft beer. I wasn't even brewing at that stage. And I think that's one of the greatest things about the whole Lacada thing is the number of friends that we've all made. You know, as part of brewing.
It's great as well because there's a board of directors as well as the members. You know, so you've sort of 400, is it 400 co-owners?
400 co-owners nearly. Yeah.
And there's a board of directors that obviously helps steer the business, and all the directors have a specific skill set. Like, you know, so it sort of almost works as a great collaboration as well. Brilliant. You know, outside of the actual operations of brewing.
What we're very much aware is it's something that's community owned, and that's community here, but it's community across the north, actually, well, further afield. It's what I call like the North Coast diaspora. You know, it's people across the world who love it here, and we're very aware that we're building something to last. It's a legacy. So it's not privately owned. It's a community owned thing.
It's absolutely fantastic, and you're right in saying community is really important, and it's something that we talk about the whole time here, that the community in the North Coast is a really supportive community. There are, the same as everywhere, naysayers and people, Barry's is closed, it's the end of Portrush and stuff, you know, and but there's so much community and there's so much goodwill that people want to see businesses like yours, businesses like Ash's, businesses like mine succeed, and I think that's fantastic. So, did you have a background in brewing before?
I've sort of been doing
Turbo
it
cider.
since I was 16 or 17.
Right, okay, yeah.
Sort of.
Since you're 16, so?
Yeah. I started. First thing I ever did actually was apple wine, but I was just absolutely fascinated seeing a demijohn fermenting in the bubbles and what's going on here. Like it's sort of alchemy, and still absolutely fascinated with it. Now, of course, in the brewery it's different. You got these stainless steel fermenters, massive things, but the whole process is just fascinating, you know. And we started it at just about the right time because craft beer had only just started to come across here.
And craft beer exploded then, didn't it?
So
it
we
really
were
did.
Just
like,
right in, and we always said in our steering groups at the beginning that if we don't follow this idea through, someone else is going to do it.
Yeah.
You know, so we got in at the right time, as it were. But so another thing was pretty tough after 18 months in business. So one of the strengths of us is how we shift our feet quickly, and we can change, and we can rely on co-owners to come in and help so much. A lot of the beers you've got here now, the recipes come from home brewers who are co-owners. So people really feel involved and really want to get into
How many have you got in your range at the minute then?
Oh, I think
Was that a bad question?
was down in the big chill room. I think there's about 9 different beers. Okay. We have to keep rolling on and keep doing new ones as the craft beer market demands. At the same time, we balance it out with our best sellers, which is obviously East of Beast and West Bay. And another beautiful thing about the co-op is we ask co-owners for beer names. So East of Beast is actually the wave on the East Strand that Andy Hill's daddy in the Hill.
Yeah.
I don't know if they used to call it East of Beast. I don't know whether he started it, but he put that name in at the very beginning. And, and as soon as we had a list of 200 names, as soon as we saw it, goes, that is going to be used.
Brilliant.
And it is our best seller.
Well, I have to say, like, the Tiki Bar where we film this is a place that over the last, how long have we been doing this? 6 months? Something like that. Yeah, we don't know.
Remember?
We don't know. We've done near 20 of them now. But in this bar, I'm a very uncultured drinker. So growing up, I drank vodka, and about a year and a half ago, I mixed it. I didn't just drink it straight like a hobo. And then I moved across to gin. I would like the odd beer, but I would be a spirit drinker, really. Not a great whiskey fan. But since doing these with Ash and coming to Ash's taster sessions before he opened the bar, my palate has expanded, and I am not a craft beer drinker at all. I'm really not. And if I went into a bar and it only sold craft beer. So tonight I've had your West Bay, and we're going to get onto the imagery shortly, and I have to say it's absolutely delicious. And I'm literally not blowing smoke. You know, I'm telling you the truth. If I didn't like it, it wouldn't be going down. It's lovely. It's really the smell of it, the taste of it, everything's great. And again, it's another time in the Tiki Bar that I'm starting to change my opinion on certain drinks, if you know what I mean.
I think the difficulty in it, like from me selling drink, and I understand the pressures that you guys are under, it's really difficult sometimes to get customers to come outside their comfort zone and try something new, and they are expensive because of because it's artisanal and it's small, sort of batch distilled and whatever it is, and getting like as customers, like an appeal for customers, try something new, come out and do it, and like try invest and look. And it's lovely getting you guys here tonight. And like, I don't want to turn it into a negative, but like the challenges you guys have as a cooperative, like get it to a price point that's accessible for customers. Like how have you struggled with that, or maybe you find it okay, or
just make as much as we possibly can. It's all about volume.
Yeah.
So if the volume goes up, we can change our price points, but. Honestly, some of the ingredients cost are killers.
Especially the hops. Like the hops are.
We
very,
know,
very expensive.
particularly with our New England IPAs, we sort of take a hit on that on the cost. But I mean, the taste is just amazing. It's like tropical fruit in a glass.
It's not the likes of like your Peronis or Heinekens. This is a like tonight. Like really love the West Bay Citra Pale Ale. There's a real floral sort of fruity element to it, and it like people talk about sessionable beers. I could easily drink 3 or 4 of those happily, and like some people would say they just have one or they'll sit and they'll move about, but for me that's a really sessionable
I mean, it is a fairly premium product. I mean, it's like anything. I always take the pizza analogy. You can go and buy a £2 frozen pizza if you want, but some people don't like that. They want a premium pizza cooked in a stone baked oven type of thing. And it's the same with beer, same with any product.
Well, for me, drinking this tonight, the big difference is it's just not a beer taste. It's just not an ale taste. There's flavours in it. It's like having a really nice meal. You can actually taste what you're drinking and you're going, that tastes really nice. Whereas you have a Peroni or something like that, or a lager or whatever, you're just knocking it back, and ultimately they pretty much taste all the same, if you know what I mean. Whereas all your different runs all taste different.
Well, I think that's one of the things with craft beer. There are so many different types of beer, so many different flavours. No one can ever say I don't like craft beer because there's such a wide taste. And the other thing I've noticed is consumers are definitely they want better products. They want to have a really nice meal, and they want to have a nice drink to go with it. They don't want to have 5-6 pints. They want to have 1 or 2 really nice beers, and I think that's where craft beer sits really well.
And Lacada, obviously, if you're from the North Coast, you know the story behind Lacada and you know where the name comes from. But for those that aren't from the North Coast, tell us about the name.
Well, when we first heard it, we were like, what? I was like, well, I've been here for 30 years. Where is that? So Lacada Point is up on the Giant's Causeway, and it's a pretty mean-looking outcrop of rock, and the Girona, which was one of the last ships of the Spanish Armada trying to get back to Spain, she hit the rock and then she foundered shortly off it. So in time-honoured fashion, we've named the brewery after a shipwreck.
After a major tragedy.
Yes, after a major
Someone that goes
shipwreck
down.
tragedy.
Well, you always need a drink after a tragedy, don't you?
So, Lacada is actually 2 words. It's Gaelic. It means the long stone.
Right. Okay. I didn't know
It
that.
sounds quite Spanishy as well, and quite different. And actually, since we've chosen the name, well, we do know about 2 other different businesses sprouted up and have used the same Lacada this or Lacada that. But one thing we didn't want was to call it Causeway Brewery.
Yeah.
Because it's just a little bit old, and Lacada was something fresh and new, but. We did labour long and hard over the name choice. It's like
picking a name is a hard thing to do.
Sure, with 400 co-owners, it's pretty difficult for everyone to get their tuppence worth.
Definitely, yeah. That is one of the challenges we have as a board and as a company, because you want to engage as many of the owners, as many of the members, but also they all have their opinions and views, and you want to take as many of those into consideration as possible. I think we did quite a good job of that, really, to be honest.
Do you know, it's lovely because I have followed you probably from a distance, to be honest, but even like talking about trying to create a community hub for Portrush and create a legacy for Portrush, I think hopefully getting the word out there and getting people involved and actually realising that yes, you're having a lovely beer, but they're also helping sort of create that community in Portrush and the North Coast in general.
Yeah. I mean, it is really important for us as a business. There's lots of breweries. They set themselves up and their plan is to be sold to and make lots of money. It's absolutely not the plan here. It's about creating a soul to the town. It's about creating employment. It's about pulling people and members together. And that's the most important thing for us, really, Get as many people involved as possible. I mean, I didn't even brew myself before I met Laurie or got involved in Lacada. Now I'm brewing at home, so we spend our time, and Greg and a few others, at the weekend you get together and you brew some beers, and sometimes if it's good enough, Laurie will go, oh, I might brew that.
And I don't brew at home anymore.
Yeah.
My hobby's just dead.
That's the problem.
Bizarre.
So where exactly is the brewery? Because, like, if I've been in Amsterdam and the Heineken breweries there, if I've been down in Dublin, you can smell the brewery a mile off. Whereas being around Portrush,
You can't smell it on brew days down the back of Victoria Avenue.
back of Victoria,
You'll
okay.
smell that waft of malt coming out. Like.
brilliant. And how many people do you have working for you?
We have 4 at the moment, so
Fantastic.
we're looking to. It's almost like if you get another big fermenter on the go, you need some more people to work.
Yeah.
So there is a big fermenter down there. I still need to get on, plumb it up. But then we have to sell more beers, so
That's it.
it's been a tough year.
Tough 18 months, like.
So
Tough
so
year.
how with that? So from my limited knowledge, I don't run a brewery. I would have thought lockdown would have been quite good for you because a lot of people, especially at the start, lockdown 1, started drinking a lot more at home and stuff like that. What sort of impact did COVID and the pandemic have on you?
It's interesting actually because, especially compared across the water, I mean a lot of microbreweries, particularly a handful, so they are a draft trade,
Yeah.
and of course, I mean, an awful lot of them just had to shut up shop temporarily. Over here, we don't have access to the draft trade, so over 90% of our product is packaged and always has been, and that's true of most of the microbreweries in the north, and to a fair amount to the south as well. So crucially, just as pandemic hit, we were undergoing a change as well. So we reopened a share offer and we put some investment into getting new tanks, and we'd gone predominantly from bottles to cans. And the quality just, we knew it was going to happen. We knew what the quality would be, improved so much, and it just went up so much. And I suppose it's because of those changes we flourished, and really, as you say, sometimes when the going gets tough, the tough get going, and we said, well, we've got this plan in place, and we just have to execute it, and we did it.
Brilliant.
Yeah, we really took that period as an opportunity for transformation.
Yeah.
And so much has changed in that 12 months, and because we've so many co-owners that are supportive and want to buy our beer, we were still able to sell enough to keep us going through that period.
We've got about 400 co-owners, but obviously, people have got partners and friends or wives, husbands, families. So we always look at it as a secret army of at least 1,000 customer base.
Yeah.
And that was put into the business plan at the very beginning. I used to talk to them about Cara Enterprise agency. They said, "You keep coming back with this business plan." I said, "Well, some people come back twice, but you keep coming back."
Jane was like, "Would you please stop coming?"
Yeah. We're really glad you're taking so much time, but you keep coming back.
Well, you see, this is the thing, because Facebook, for example, of a social media network, like we all say we have X amount of followers or X amount of friends on Facebook. Really, it's people that you may know. Would you ever phone them up and say, "Do you want to come for a drink or whatever?" Probably not. But I look at my Facebook and say you have 1,000 people on your Facebook. They all have friends and they all have friends. And you sort of look at it and you go, in an ideal world, if those 1,000 people that are on my social media network just spent 2 minutes and shouted about our brand or our product to their friends, and then their friends did the same, it would be a domino effect and it would be amazing. But you know yourselves, and through the bar as well, you have all these people and you post stuff up and 99% of them ignore everything you're doing, if you know what I mean. And it's kind of hard that way sometimes.
But I think for your guys, stuff like it is a sort of for me in the bar here, it's been a re-education for people to re-educate them what a mojito is, actually made properly, or a straight up daiquiri or a pina colada. It's not pish. Yours is really lovely, and we need to get people, and to be fair, I stuck a couple of cans here, and serving cans in an on-trade environment, something Kelly's actually done for years with a harp and stuff.
Yeah, with the other brands.
But it's going well, man. And people aren't, we serve them cans of Red Stripe and cans of West Bay, and we'll hopefully expand the range here as we grow. But it's a nice re-education piece for people to start buying locally and buy cans.
The cans are the best thing for the beer, believe it or not, because they keep the beer fresher. There's no UV damage that you'd get in amber bottles or clear bottles. There's they're lighter, they're easier to move around.
From a
They're
logistics point of view,
better,
behind a
like.
bar, they're good for space as well. Like
Yeah,
you don't lose space.
Yeah, the other interesting thing as well, there has been a bit of reticence about the cans from some outlets, but once they get the cans, see them with the imagery,
The imagery is fantastic.
and
So
it's just, oh, it's not what I expected the can to look like. Okay, we'll try them, and then of course once the customers taste it, that's it. But we've changed obviously to photographic images by Gary McCall, local photographer. He's very well known for surf photography, but it's another part of our sort of revolution last year, if you were. As you've got to change and you've got to move it on.
Yeah.
And it's worked wonders for us,
I mean, Gary's pictures, and then the way that Greg puts them on,
it's
all the detail. I mean,
lovely.
you look at that glass, that beautiful golden glimmer. Yeah?
You get a shot in.
This is like that scene in Wayne's World with the Pepsi thing. You mean this glass?
placement.
On sale now.
Really gets hair. Get the wind machine. Get the wind machine.
Exactly. But you know what? You are right, and even the shape of the glass is unusual. Do you? I want to say bottle, but do you use can?
everything.
You do everything.
Yeah.
It used to be all bottles, but
Yeah.
Bottles, we can't have, well, that's not quite true, because when the on-trade started to open up again in the summer, we've been back to our kegs, and they're great. The outlets that will take our kegs, it's fantastic. It actually pushes the sales up in the off licenses because people see it in a bar,
Yeah.
and then it's like, oh right, okay, I'll try that, and it's like, oh, wonderful, I can buy it in the off license. So,
I think that's always been the key, like, because my old job, like, it was building on-trade advocacy that drove people to go and buy them in off-license. So on that note, like, where can people buy Lacada if people want to buy North Coast, Northern Ireland, beyond? Like, I mean, I'm not asking you to list every off-license, but
you go to our website and there's a stock list.
So there's the off-license in Paisley and Portrush.
So on your website, check your website. For
Yeah,
your
there's the
that's
stock
up to
list,
date.
there's the story, there's the current beers, there's the share offer that was, I think the share offer maybe.
still running, yeah.
It's still there, yeah.
Share
I
offer
was
you'll be
looking
running
today.
for, I think, probably another 4 or 5 weeks, then it'll be
Yeah.
closing.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
And I noticed today, and forgive me if I get this wrong, there was a community of hope.
Community of Hope.
Community of Hope beer. Tell us about
So
that.
that's it up there. If Ash can do a Domino's thing, Jenga style there.
Do we do this? Errol, do you want to hold it and point it and we can put it in?
Yeah. Look at the colours in that. That's beautiful.
So that was a piece by Sarah Mackay, isn't it? Local artist.
Wow.
And proceeds of that there are going to be funneled back into the community.
There we go.
Yeah. We're hoping to see if we can work planting fruit trees and stuff around the place, public places. That's one of the projects.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
So it is. But
Plus, it's an awesome beer. It's made with a specific Scandinavian yeast,
Yeah.
Quebec yeast. That's like a killer for just chomping away on sugars real quick.
I mean, that painting's actually on show, isn't it? At our down in
Yes,
Portrush.
Sarah's got her first exhibition actually in the Arcadia, which is going to be running now, I think from the 28th of September
To October,
to the
the-
28th of October, I think
that's
it's it.
Brilliant.
And the original artwork, the original painting is there, and she's running a raffle on it. So it does look amazing in real life.
fantastic. And the sort of the design work and all of that. So you're working with local artists. You're working with local photographers. Do you come up with the idea? Do people come to you with the ideas? I was talking to you beforehand about collaboration with local businesses and stuff like that. What way does that work? Because you have
Usually we come up with an idea, and then our graphic designer says, "You must be joking," and he comes up
with a better one.
Greg tells us, "No, this is the
Stop
way it
that.
needs
Forget
to
about
look."
that. That's rubbish.
Brilliant.
And he's always right. He is always right. But there's a
But it is
knife
purely
for it.
collaborative as well. There is
Yeah.
there is a lot of people that like put their heads together and come up with everything like. But certainly the imagery and the artwork is with Gary and Greg. It's just
So
it's the ticket, like.
I teach as well in the local college, and I would teach brand management and product design and various other things. And your brand guidelines and your brand management are spot on. Like you're branding through all the different tins. They stand out and they look totally different than anything else that's for sale out there. And the artwork, like I say, looks phenomenal. We had Alex from Sexton Whiskey on in season 1, and what she had done with the whiskey and the logo and even the drink stoppers and stuff like that. The design was brilliant, and I really appreciate that. And I think what you guys have is absolutely spot on. You know,
we could have gone with a silver can, we could have gone with a silver lid, but it just doesn't look as good.
No,
Black and gold,
that
maybe.
makes
that's it. That's
they're
it.
the colours, aren't they?
So-
Black and gold.
Obviously, you know, we've had the pandemic, but we've also had Brexit, which deals with, obviously, with us, with importing, exporting, and a lot of confusion over that and stuff like that. Did that have any effect on you with supply? Because I know, Ash, you were saying supply's pretty hard at the moment.
I don't know if it's. I've been told it's a mixture of the whole Suez Canal thing. We've really struggled to get some tequilas from Mexico and some of the French products like Cointreau and Kahlua and stuff like that. It's been a real nightmare. And I'm sure you guys exporting out, it's been just as hard, or?
Getting ingredients has
Yeah.
been problematic in certain respects. Fortunately, one of the things we did do was we moved most of our purchasing of ingredients to a local company down near Randallstown, get our brewed. But there's some things we still need to get elsewhere across the water, and instead of taking like 5 days, it's 3 weeks.
Yeah, which is hard. Like,
It's just like
yeah.
what's going on, and you do pick up that they're actually perhaps not too interested because it's just too much paperwork.
It's too much hassle.
And
Yeah.
it's like, there's 3 weeks. What's going on? It doesn't take that long for paperwork. Well, yes, it does. And then, you know, it comes over with a company, and it's, I don't know, 3 days since it's left England. It's still down in Carrickfergus. It's like, what the hell's going on? You know. But say, fortunately, we moved to get the bulk of our ingredients with one supplier, Get Our Brewed, and they worked fantastic for us. It's a really good partnership. We did a really good collaboration with them as well. Done Loose Juice, which is a double IPA, was 8%.
Can't have too many of those.
And I don't have a can here, unfortunately, but there's a killer
That's-
photograph of the Aurora behind Dun Loose.
Oh wow.
The can looked quite radioactive, actually.
And it's 8%.
And it was 8%, yeah.
Doesn't taste like 8% either.
Last
You know,
time
it
I had
drinks like
something
a,
like that was in Holland, and it was like 8 or 9 or 10% Grolsch, and it was Dunluce juice. It was rocket fuel. Like
I had one can purely for research purposes and sold the rest.
yeah. So, what does the future hold for Lacada Brewery then?
sell.
Yeah, I mean, we've gone through this transformation now to make the product better, to have a much wider selection. The quality now in these cans is awesome, and it's now about just extending our reach. You know, we sell a bit to the mainland UK.
And to
We'd sell a
Republic.
lot more.
Yeah.
Need
We
to
could
send
sell
some
a
more
lot
down there. Need to send it further afield into Europe, and that's where the board's focus is now. Is how do we make those connections, and how do we sell more?
I think that's where we'll feel the sting maybe of Brexit. You know, when we sort of move into sort of looking at exporting more
Yeah.
across the mainland.
And what about like North America? Because like
I was
I'm
gonna
imagining
say-
like Brooklyn kind of in that sort of scene where and being sort of that Irish connection.
It's not straightforward as far as
Okay,
we've
right,
gathered. It's not straightforward because I know there's one local brewery down the road and they did do that. They went to Boston, I think with Invest NI, and it just, you think, oh, it's a given, isn't it? You
Yeah.
know, the Irish market, and it's just not quite straightforward to
You actually need
export
to
to
set
the
up
US.
another brewery over there. Would that be the only way to do it?
It's almost like going through so many hoops. Yeah.
But a lot of breweries over there have their tap rooms because of their licensing laws. Or
yeah,
it's
yeah,
ours,
exactly.
you know,
There's
so-
a load of,
so,
a lot of the
you know,
bars are microbreweries.
You
and
can
stuff,
survive
yeah.
as a standalone brewery, having your tap room and selling locally. Whereas, you know, if you all of a sudden you were trying to flood the market over there with a product that I don't know how it would work. I don't know if it would work at all.
But I think
Like,
that's
it's
a
difficult.
huge. That if the Northern Irish licensing laws, and to be fair, they're changing ever so
Starting
slightly.
to change,
Finally,
yeah.
it's like turning a ship.
Well, we've done quite a lot of work. We were at Stormont
Brilliant.
in January, and we were in 2016 before Stormont collapsed. And as are quite a few other microbreweries, we've done quite a lot of work behind the scenes. And it looks like the law will be changed before the end of the year.
I think they're changing these
'Cause
sort of
it's-
laws and stuff.
Which,
as
yeah,
well,
but the licensing laws for the producers is actually the breweries can get a producer's license to
Right,
sell,
cool.
so we can have a proper online shop, and more importantly, then we can pick up some margin, because when we did the Stormont thing, there was a brewer, Left Hand Giant Brewing in Bristol, and he said it's been really crucial and key to microbreweries across the water just to have access to that just a bit more margin, which we can't get because we're restricted.
It'd be a total game changer if you guys could have a tap room in at your brewery, and people go in and try it.
That's the dream.
I mean,
that's the dream,
we're so lucky, as well. We are very lucky to live in this area. Apart from being in a fantastic area, just being the imagery and the just the people and everything. We've got so much to borrow off. You know what I mean? But if you can imagine setting up a tap room, in a brewery, especially with the way the tourist market's going and the golf coming back.
Golf coming back, and
it would just be unreal.
We spoke to Alan Simpson about this, and again, similar to how Barry's is closing down, Portrush is dead. The whole the golf brought nothing to Portrush, and I'm like, it's not the week that it's there, it's the 10-year legacy afterwards.
It's not immediate.
And you know what? We were very unlucky because COVID hit pretty much straight after the golf or shortly after the golf and stuff like that. People know what they're getting now with the golf in Portrush, and if it's anything like a couple of years ago when it comes back, this area is going to explode. I was sat at the 18th green on the last day, and there's a elderly couple from Michigan behind us, and we were chatting to them throughout the day, and at one stage they just started squealing, and I was like, nothing's going on, what's on? They're like, our friends in Michigan have just sent us a video of them watching TV, and we're on TV in Michigan, and I'm just like, that's and they were showing like the helicopter shots of the coast and all of that, and for any business in the North Coast that's associated with the North Coast and has imagery like yours, it can only be a good thing. There can't be negatives that come out of that.
Well, certainly the readmission thing that they're scrapping this in 2025 will be a big help
that
as
people
well.
Can come out and back in.
A lot of the bars in the town do stock their beer now. So yeah, I mean that's a start.
I mean, we service a lot of tours, or we did anyway before COVID hit. Anyway, so
yeah.
great to have them again.
Every summer, only every week, there's a knock on the brewery door, and an American pokes their head round and says, "Have you got a tap room?" Because we can't do them. We're not allowed. And they just look at you like incredulous. What? Because it's the business model over there and everywhere, Europe.
Well, hopefully that changes. And you were saying as well, you're always open to ideas. Rawee has a North Coast native logo, and I know if I went back to Darren and says, "Yeah, guys, we've got a beer now," his head would literally explode. He actually has a home bar, and he says, "I'll buy 200 tins of it myself. So if you charge the tins at like 25, 35 quid, we could maybe do a deal or something together." Guys,
Laurie's sitting silent.
Just went quiet now.
The other thing is, and I'm sure Ash, you would be the same, would love to at some stage come down and see what you are doing in the factory as well, because I think as a business, as a community, what you are doing, and I've known you for years, out and about around Portrush and stuff like that, and what you are doing is fantastic, and I truly hope that it gets bigger and it gets better and it goes in the model that you wanted to go in, because like I say, I'm not a pale ale drinker at all, but it's lovely.
Good.
Great.
Been an absolute pleasure. I've been wanting to get you in for a while, so thank you for coming in, guys.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, lovely.
Thanks very much. Cheers, guys. Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers.
Chin chin.
Indeed.